Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into the most anticipated showdowns in anime history, Gojo vs Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen. While the fight was already pretty epic, we're going to explore some ideas on how to make it even better. Buckle up, anime fans, because this is going to be a wild ride. But before we do begin, I want to take a moment to thank all of you for your incredible support. If you guys do enjoy the content and want to see more behind the scenes footage, exclusive polls, and even help decide the future video topics, not to mention our Naruto fanfic manga and the manga of this exact fight, consider supporting us on Patreon or becoming a member of the channel. Your support helps us creating the content that you love. Plus, you'll get new awesome perks and bonuses as well. Now, I assume that if you're watching this video, you already are aware of all of Gojo's and Sukuna's abilities and what they're capable of. The battle starts with Gojo's epic 200% hollow purple, which destroys Sukuna's arms. After some intense trash talks between the both of them, they get into a brutal hand-to-hand combat fight. This initial clash showcased their physical prowess and martial arts skills, a segment I would largely keep as same as it was in the manga for the tone of the epic battle, because that was the starting hand-to-hand combat was literally perfect. There is nothing that I would like to change in my own version of it, right? And the second part, the domain clash. The real action begins when Gojo and Sukuna open their domains. Sukuna's malevolent shrine, being an open barrier domain, destroys Gojo's domain from the outside. Gojo fights for his life inside Sukuna's domain, utilizing RCT to recover his exhausted curse technique. And now here is where I would start changing things up. However, I would have Gojo employ a different kind of strategy in this case. After blasting Sukuna with a red, instead of immediately engaging in another domain clash, Gojo should exit Sukuna's domain with his teleportation, and then think of a proper way to, counter Sukuna's domain in some kind of way. Gojo's realization that an open barrier domain is inherently stronger would add a layer of, some kind of tactical complexity to the fight. Upon seeing Gojo teleport out of his domain, I believe that Sukuna would pursue him, attempting to, open his domain again once he does catch up to Gojo, but he would have to use RCT to recover his burnt out curse technique. Both Gojo and Sukuna would use RCT to recover their brain once. When Sukuna opens his domain again this time, Gojo would shrink his domain like he did originally. The decision that Gojo took would be from the understanding that Sukuna, like Gojo, can adjust his domain conditions. A higher quality domain from both inside and the outside would be better, because if Sukuna can also adjust his conditions to attack Gojo's domain from the inside or shrink his domain's range so that his attack can be more powerful, that is what he originally did. If Gojo did change the barrier settings, Gojo would come to the conclusion that shrinking a domain would be just better, right? Again, this would give them in a domain class again, which would be a similar pattern. Gojo damages Sukuna until Sukuna cannot maintain his domain, and then Sukuna destroying Gojo's domain from the outside, leading to a draw. And then this cycle of domain classes would continue a few more times until Sukuna this time realizes that repeated use of RCT to recover his burned out curse technique would result in brain damage. To avoid another domain class, Sukuna opts a different strategy. But Gojo, unaware of this, opens his domain again, resulting in a severe side effect like a nosebleed. At this point, Sukuna brings out Maharaga's wheel, attacking Gojo. Gojo, in this weakened state, struggles to defend himself as Sukuna lands hits with his domain amplification on Gojo. Once Gojo does recover, he goes on the offensive, attempting to kill Sukuna before Maharaga can adapt his infinity. Despite his efforts, Gojo can only manage to land a black flash on Sukuna, knocking Sukuna out momentarily. Now you may wonder why I decided to go this way instead of, the original where Sukuna calls up Maharaga to actually counter Gojo's domain. The simple reason is because at the starting of the fight, both the fighters have used RCT to recover their burnt out curse technique equal amount of times. So it's not like Gojo or Sukuna, are fairly even at that point. So, Gojo doesn't know that if he recovers his burnt or curse technique with RCT too many times, his brain will get destroyed. But Sukuna does. So Sukuna would try to avoid the last domain clash, right? So he would opt for something else like Maharaga or the wheel, so that he can adapt to Gojo. Or in this case, just not at least not do a domain clash with Gojo, while Gojo, not knowing that this will lead to some kind of side effect, would try to open his domain to kill Sukuna once and for all, but obviously he would get the nosebleed and whatnot. And Sukuna in this case, who is a little better conditioned than Gojo, not having as severe as brain damage than Gojo, so he would obviously go on the offensive, not being able to open his domain because of the brain damage and whatnot. Now the battle reaches its peak when Gojo uses his unlimited hollow purple technique, nearly killing Sukuna. However, this time Gojo is still wary. Sensing something amiss, he dodges Sukuna's last-ditch effort of a dismantle attack. Witnessing the massive destruction that it causes, Sukuna, realizing that the futility of his current approach, transforms into his original form, prompting Gojo to prepare for the ultimate showdown. Now again, I just did this because, I want Sukuna to have the world cutting slash, right? As this fight goes on, I will show you why, but I want him to have that. But Gojo simply dying to that off screen is not something that I want to happen. So I just made Gojo a little bit wary and just not completely off guard. So since he saw the dismantle coming, he just dodged it, right, instead of letting it bounce off his infinity or whatnot. Let's just say Gojo was a little wary and thought that if this is Sukuna's last effort, maybe this is some kind of trick. So he just dodged the dismantle. Obviously the six eyes can't see the attack coming, so that's that. The ultimate showdown begins. Sukuna, now in his original form with 4 arms, faces Gojo with a sinister grin. Gojo, having recovered his RCT through black flashes, braces himself for an intense battle ahead. Despite the increased difficulty, Gojo fights valiantly, landing a few significant blows on Sukuna. Sukuna attempts to use the world-cutting slash, but Gojo interrupts him, preventing the devastating attack. As the battle rages on, both combatants gain and lose their upper hands multiple times. Their clashes become more intense, with each attack causing a massive shockwave and destruction around them. Gojo, realizing the gravity of the situations, decides to go all out, pushing his limits to match Sukuna's ferocity. The battle showcases their unparalleled skill, strategy, and sheer willpower. Both fighters, battered and exhausted, prepare for their final attacks. Sukuna using Fuga, Furnace, with his additional hand signs and incantations to make his attack stronger, and Gojo charging up another hollow purple, ready themselves for the ultimate clash. As their attacks collide, the result explosion sends shockwaves across the battlefield, creating a massive crater. The aftermath of the battle is devastating. As the dust settles, Sukuna is kneeling down, with 2 of his arms missing, a testament to the ferocity of the class. Gojo standing tall, but gravely injured. Gojo, but then, would suddenly smile at Sukuna. "Thank you, Sukuna," Gojo says as blood pours out of his mouth and the upper half of his body collapses, marking his death. Sukuna, in a rare moment of respect, acknowledges Gojo's strength and vowing to remember him as the strongest opponent that he ever faced. Sukuna reveals a strategy. Knowing that he would lose the clash with his Fuga and Gojo's Hollow Purple, he used the wall-cutting slash hidden behind Fuga, his attack, ensuring that his survival by activating domain amplification. This explanation shows Sukuna's cunning and experience, highlighting what gave him the edge in this legendary battle. As Sukuna's arms begin to heal, he senses an approaching presence. In a good mood, he looks forward to the next battle, not wanting to be disappointed. Kashimo arrives at the battle, setting the stage for the next epic showdown. And that would be my version of Gojo versus Sukuna fight. If I were writing Jujutsu Kaisen, Sukuna not going all out and killing Gojo was a major reason for fans' disappointment, and also, sort of gig kind of off-screen Gojo, which is not something that we were happy about. By making Sukuna outsmart Gojo and win, it would be emphasis on his experience and tactical prowess, and Gojo making Sukuna go all out, which obviously show that he was really, worthy of the title of the strongest, and he was actually not like someone fraud that, people call him now, because, he kind of got cut into half off screen, right? But despite my desire for Gojo to win this battle, his death is crucial for the story's progression. Making Sukuna go all out and giving the fight the epic conclusion it deserves would be the fitting tribute to both characters, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? How should Gojo vs Sukuna fight have ended? Comment them below, and while you're down there, like and subscribe to the channel. Until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.